Yes, people. Good evening and welcome to Spurs Kings TV. And this is your match reaction to Tottenham Hotspur 3, Crystal Palace 1 at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Big shout out to everyone who's just tuned in or about to tune in. Big yourselves up. Please do remember to smash the like button and subscribe to the show if you are new. Right, I'm going to crack on with the show without further ado. We have our very own Dan E in the house today for our match reaction. Dan E, welcome to the show. What's going on? I can see you got your pet snake there, mate.
Yeah, she wants feeding and she's getting moody, so I thought I'd get her out after the game, seeing as we won, and going to feed her after this.
Excellent stuff, mate. Yeah, so she basically had to wait for the Tottenham game to finish, right?
Yeah, I had to get back indoors, watch the game.
Right, okay. So was you at the game or was you watching it somewhere?
No, I went round my mate's house with a couple of beers and watched it.
Excellent stuff, excellent. So just to recap to everyone who's watching, if anyone hasn't seen already, if you've been at work, if you've been doing something else, you've been out and about, Tottenham Hotspur have beaten Crystal Palace 3-1 at home at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And yeah, left it a bit late again today, Danny. I mean, I didn't watch the first part of the game or even the first half. Funny enough, I watched the game from the part where Eze scored that fantastic free kick, top bins, and I thought, here we go. You know, once again, Tottenham are a goal down at home or a goal down against an opposition, having to claw their way back again. I mean, first of all, talk me through the first half, because I still haven't seen the first half, and let us know what you thought of the first half.
First half I thought was pretty dry overall. Again, apart from Werner, who should have put that in the back of the net all day long, he should have smacked that, not tried to take it round the keeper. He had a complete sitter that he should have just put in the back of the net. I don't really think we was any threat. They had a good chance as well, could have easily been 1-1. But again, I don't think they was much of a threat. I think it was another one of those games where we looked in total control, but we had no control at all. Just because we had the ball and was knocking the ball left to right, 87% possession and that, for me, that still don't mean you're in control of the game. And that was pretty much how the first half was, really.
So would you say Crystal Palace were quite comfortable first half? I mean, did we trouble their defence at any point in the first half? Apart from you telling me Timo Werner should have basically scored, but did we trouble them enough in the first half?
Not at all. I wouldn't have thought so. There was one or two. I think a lot of it came down to, again, late passing. The people trying to make too many decisions before they pass the ball. Too many touches on the ball before they pass it. I think Adoji today, his passing weren't great. He played all right. But we just weren't getting the passes in there. And we just kept putting it across the front of the goal, down the sides. But no actual shots on goal.
Yeah.
Not really. Apart from then, who should have scored?
Same old story, I suppose. Yeah, so I just want to say a big shout out to Tiago, who's joined us all the way from Brazil for our match reaction. Tiago, it's always a pleasure to see you, my friend. Looking very trim there with your new look there. I haven't seen you for a while, so you probably have had this look for a while, but you're looking really well, my friend. Thank you for joining the show today. How are you?
Oh, it's my pleasure to be here. Actually, I have this look since Wednesday. Decided to change this week. It's been quite a while that I've been on streams. I've been going through some problems. My grandma passed away, unfortunately, a few weeks ago. So
you lost, my friend.
Sorry to hear that, mate.
Thanks, man. So yeah, I'm just helping out my family. Had to go back home to stay with my mom for a while. It's great to see you. It's great to see Dan. He has a snake, which is cool. I like it. I really like it. Even though it's my biggest fear, but I'm gonna get a tattoo of a snake. But yeah,
amazing.
Finally, Spurs are back, and finally we won.
Yeah, talk us through. Tiago, you probably watched the game. I didn't even get to watch the first half. I was too busy working. But you know, I was just saying to Danny, talk us through the first half, because it sounds like it was another frustrating afternoon in that first half, and it very much, to me, it sounds like it was going to be the same old story again, where we can't break down the defense. You know, a lot of possession, but not really doing anything with it. I mean, What was your take on it? You heard what Dan had to say earlier on. You know, the Timo Werner chance. What was your take on it?
Yeah, I think Dan was spot on. It was the same thing. We had the possession, but we couldn't break down Palace. Glasner set them up really well. He's a manager I really like. I watched all of his games with Frankfurt last season. Um, but I thought it was going to be the same thing. But for me, what was different today, at least, is even though we were frustrating to watch and we were really predictable, I believe today we were more in control of the game. We didn't suffer much. Uh, Palace were not that dangerous. They were dangerous in set pieces. They scored from a set piece, but apart from that, they were not that dangerous, especially in the first half either. Um, the second half, they came out quite strong, pressing us really high. Scored a goal with Eze, which is one of my favorite players to watch. He's really good.
Good player.
But yeah, I think today went pretty much the same way in terms of being extremely predictable going forward. But I still have a feeling we were more in control of the game today. We didn't struggle as much as we did against Wolves or other teams we played in the last few months at home. I saw a stat today on Twitter. There was, I think, the last time we scored a goal at home in the first half was on New Year's Day or New Year's Eve. I can't remember now. So yeah, it's been quite a long time that we haven't scored in the first half, but we got away with the win. The team of Werner miss, bad one.
Shocking. Shocking.
And we'll probably watch
I
that
gotta
tonight
say-
during the replays. But I mean, you talked me through it as well, Tiago. I mean, this sounds like it was a terrible miss, but you know, I'd put it this way: I'm imagining Timo Werner one-on-one with the keeper. I'll give you another take on it. Really, do we really expect Timo to score?
No.
You know, I'd be more. I would have been more surprised if it was a Son or a Kane if he was still with us and he missed a one-on-one with a keeper. But with Timo, you sort of expect, you know, 80% it's not going to go in, and maybe 20 it might. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
For me, the thing with the Werner miss, I'm not saying it wasn't bad, it was terrible. And I'm not trying to make excuses for him, but for me overall, it was a good game for him. There were a few times he went 1-on-1 against the opponent. He got past the opponent, had some good passes inside the box. He scored a goal. Um,
Tiago, would you
for
say
me,
the issue with Timo is it's not that his ability to get past players or even
yeah,
track back or close down? I think would you say his main problem is that the end product? There's no end product with him at the moment.
yeah, that's definitely the main problem. I think sometimes his decision making isn't the best either. But it's something we also saw with Sonny this season. When he plays on the left, he struggles to get in products. When he goes to center forward, he scores goals. He has
Yeah.
more chances because they play so close to the touchline that sometimes it's really difficult for them to do something. Um, so yeah, the problem is in product, but I think it also has to do with where he plays, of how he sets up, because he's always against two players, or he doesn't have much space to do something. Um, Brennan Johnson struggles with that. Kulusevski as well. So Timo is gonna struggle. It's natural, but I don't think he's been actually that bad as people make him to look. I think he's been okay for what we expected him to do. So I'm
Yeah.
not gonna complain about him that much.
Yeah. Well, we should get through some messages here. So I'll start from the top. Big shout out to Tony Rodriguez. Says, big up, guys. 3 points after a shit performance. Absolutely, Tony. Story of our season, really. Big up to you. We have Stay Humble. Big up the lads. We played crap for 70 minutes and got lucky again. Thanks to Palace switching off. It's not good enough, to be honest. Yeah, again, same old story. Stay humble. Big up yourself. 3 SS Sports Picks. Big up, guys. Give Timo his contract. He's saying we'll get onto that in a minute. There's been big talk of Timo actually getting a contract with Spurs into the season, but we'll get into that another time. And big shout out to Ellie, just a girl who loves Spurs. Big yourself up, Ellie. She says there was end product once as he scored. So yeah, once, Ellie, once. So, but we'll take it for today. Dan, so talk me through. I mean, obviously the first half. You know, we were by the sounds of it, we were quite poor. Second half, I mean, I switched on after I finished work, and sod's law, I see Eze's free kick hit the back of the net, and I thought, wow, I've just switched on, and I've just watched Eze score an absolute world-class goal into the top bins. But yeah, up to that point, I didn't see who gave away the free kick, but talk me through the build-up to that.
Up until the free kick, I'd say in its own weird way, the game was pretty much dry lunch. It really was, because there was no real threat from either side. There was a chance that could have been turned into a threat, but it just didn't get taken that far. Up until the free kick, which was a very good free kick at that, then the game seemed to come alive a bit, and we seemed to come out of our shell a little bit and wanted to take a couple of chances. I think it was definitely down to the same story again, as being willing to take more chances in front of our own goal than we are to go at the other end, with passing, tackles, whatever. Whereas at the other end, we just want to play it safe. And again, I just can't work out this style of play. Why do you want to play it safe up the other end, but you're not playing it safe in front of your own goal with tackles, passes? And then, yeah, up until we scored, then all of a sudden, Palace fell apart basically due to a mistake they made. I will say, very good by Johnson, the way he managed to get the ball, keep the ball, get it back, and get it across the goal. Poor defending, but who cares? It took him to do that. And then Werner put it in the net, which would have been, if he would have missed that, he should never play football again. It was that simple. It was harder to miss than it was to score. And then after that, I think we pretty much took control of it. I think that knocked them off their feet completely, and we pretty much took control of the game.
Yeah.
Going with Werner, the thing with him is, to me, he's such a similar player to Son, except on my side, he's a poor man's Son. He basically plays exactly the same way, does everything nearly exactly the same way. He's just nowhere near as good as it. And Son proved it at the end when he was in basically exactly the same situation, and he had the chance to either shoot or try and take it round, and he planted it lovely in the bottom right-hand corner, whereas Werner tries to take it round him. So I can see why we got Werner. He plays exactly the same style as Son. He's just nowhere near as good at it.
Yeah, operates on the wings, takes his man on. It just hasn't got the end.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
Bad today. It really wasn't. He had the bottle to take players on. He got it past a couple of times. He's got pace on him. We all know that. But it's his end bit. In the middle, I mean, Ellie's just made a comment on here. 100% disagree with you. Basuma and Van der Ven, for me, were man of the match. The reason Son's going to get all the credit, or Johnson because he came on and they scored and that, Basuma had total control of that midfield. I'd give him a rating of an 8. He played better than Bentancur, who had another pretty much lame game. Maddison, still not looking up to standards, but he's definitely going up in the levels. You can see he's getting some good passes in now, and he's getting himself together. But he's still.
I mean, we're going to talk about his assist, Dan, in a bit for Romero. But yeah, I can see what you're saying there with Maddison. Clearly, still not 100% match fit, or hasn't got that 100% sharpness that he had at the beginning of the season. But you know, we're going to get into that. But Thiago. Brennan Johnson come on in the second half. We took off. Remind me who we took off from the midfield. We took off one of the Bentancur. We took off Bentancur and replaced him with Brennan Johnson. Ultimately, he sort of got the ball in, crossed the ball in for Werner to equalise for us. Much talk has been made of Brennan Johnson as well, that he's not performed to standard this season. You know, he's been a poor signing, this, that, and the other, but he has popped up with a few assists this season so far. And, you know, I think a couple of games ago, he scored 2 goals to win the game for us as well. You know, what did you make of him when he come on? I mean, did he sort of change the course of the game for you a little bit? Did he give us something different on the right? His cross, I mean, it was a very good cross into the box. But, you know, would you say Crystal Palace should have cleared that easily?
I think Johnson didn't really change much. Um, when he assisted Werner, who's really good in the play, he fought for possession, he got it, he crossed the ball, put it on a play for Werner to score. As Dan said, if he missed that goal, he should never step foot on the pitch again. Um, but Brennan Johnson, it's weird because I think people still have that expectation because of the price we paid for him. So people expect him to be a Son on his best days on the wing. I searched it, he has 3 goals and 6 assists this season. I don't think it's awesome, but I also didn't expect much from him in the beginning of the season. And I think that's pretty much what I'll say about every player at Tottenham. I didn't expect much in the beginning of the season, and I'm quite surprised that we're better. But for me, Brennan Johnson didn't change much. I agree on taking off Bentancur. I think he had a poor game. I don't think he has been performing that well in midfield. What I don't agree is taking off Bentancur, putting a winger to put Kulusevski in the middle. For me, Kulusevski was the least dangerous player we had all game. Really predictable. As we all know, he's not the fastest player, so sometimes they try a long ball for him to catch. He can't because he's not that fast. Takes too long to make a decision. So he didn't change much, but I see what Ange was trying to do. And in the end, it worked out because he got a beautiful assist to Werner. We equalized, but Brennan Johnson himself didn't change much. The game was pretty much the same.
I mean, it was, you know, wing to wing, one winger to the other. We got the goal with those two combining. It's good to see, but we need to produce that through the game. You know, we need to produce these chances throughout the game and not just when we actually need to, you know, when our backs are against the walls. I mean, I'm just watching Aston Villa right now and they're putting Luton to the sword, 2-0 up first half, you know, and game's done. And that's what we need to be doing. But look, we got back in the game 1-1. And then ball comes to Maddison, edge of the box, and he just lofts it into the box where Romero was, and he hits it past the keeper. I mean, what do you make of it, Dan? I thought it was fantastic bit of improvisation from Maddison. That's the quality that you need at times through someone like Maddison. At the moment, he's the only one that can produce these types of moments in games. Would you agree with that, Dan?
100%. I mean, he's the only one who's got the eye for it, really. I mean, Kulusevski isn't the worst passer of the ball, but again, it'll take too long to think about it before he does it. None of our wingers can cross or pass the ball. If you put Son out wide, he can't pass or cross come love nor money. Werner can't do it. Johnson can't really do it. What he did today, though, I'll take my hat off to Johnson. He actually played with a bit of bottle today. He actually took his player on, which he hasn't done in many games. Anyone else in the middle? Basuma, not the best passer. Bentancur, yes, he can pass, but that's 5 games straight now where he's been 6 or below. Maddison is our only one who can put a good floater into there or a good direct ball into there and has got also the bottle to take a pass, which maybe has got more chance of going wrong than going right. No one else seems to have the bottle to do it. They touch the ball 2 or 3 times before they make their mind up, or they just knock it to the man behind them or next to him. And he's the only one who can do it. It was a lovely ball he put in there. Romero was in the right place at the right time. I've got to say it was poor defending again as well. But 2-1 up, I wasn't complaining. But
yeah, and we should be putting Crystal Palace to the sword. Look, let's be honest. Like, if you put both teams on paper, if you look at both teams, you know, and the way that Crystal Palace has been performing lately, we should be getting 3 points at home. against the likes of Crystal Palace, who haven't beaten us for 17 years at our ground. So, you know, kudos to them. They got back into the game. They took the lead again. And then for the third one, Thiago, it was literally, we closed the ball down. I can't remember who it was. Might have been Sarr. Closed the ball down, and the ball just ricocheted and went in the path of Son, who showed that he still has some good pace. You know, at 30 years of age, he has some good pace still. He outpaced Richards to get to the ball, and then, you know, from there, the one-on-one, you know, he's never going to miss that. 9 times out of 10, he's going to get that in. And that was game, set, and match. I mean, what did you think of that? What did you think of the intensity after we went 2-1 up? Because we still continue to press. We still continue to try and, you know, get that third goal in the last, you know, in the dying minutes of the game.
That for me was one of the big positives of the game. I think it was important for us to stay on top of it, to prevent from suffering against Palace and maybe conceding a second goal. It's just frustrating that we don't see that throughout the whole game, especially in the first half. We're too passive. We just pass the ball around. We don't have that cutting edge. What you said about Sonny having good pace today, he had a few good runs in behind defenders, but nobody to make that different pass. It should be Madison doing it, but if he's not with the ball, someone else could try. And for me, the intensity situation comes down to Bissouma in a way. I don't think he was awful, like Ellie said. I don't think he was man of the match, like Dan said. The problem for me is that he has also become quite predictable. Bissouma used to be the guy that would get past 2 or 3 players, and he hasn't done that in a long time, actually. I don't know if maybe when we conceded that goal against City, I don't know if you guys are going to remember that he lost possession and we went, I think, 3-2 down or something. Since then, he hasn't done anything like that anymore. He looks scared to play, and for me, that is a problem because we lose intensity because he slows down the game sometimes.
We played him as a ball winner today. We didn't play him to do anything else except win the ball, mop it up, and get it back up to whoever. So as far as I'm concerned, he basically done his perfect job today because once he got beaten and he got the ball enough times and got rid of it. That is what he was there to do today. Bentancur was the man who was meant to be the deep lying playmaker. So the way I see it is if Bissouma was poor, then Bentancur was a shambles. He got taken off for it. I think he done his job today. And a good one.
I don't think Bentancur was shambles, but I think it was bad. I think shambles would be a little bit too strong of a word for me.
That's the point of why I was thinking it.
Yeah, and like for me, I agree with what you said. His role was win the ball back, take it forward. But I think sometimes at the beginning of the season, he would be the guy taking it forward, and even if it was not the one to do it, even if it was Sarr or someone else, he would get the ball into it himself. He doesn't do it anymore. And even if that's not his main role in the team, he can still do it. It's not like he can't just get the ball and try to do something himself. And I think that sometimes slows down the game too much and we lose intensity. I think Emerson was another player that did it because he's not going to be a Pedro Porros to get the ball and just try a 1v1. He's going to get the ball, step on it, look to both sides and decide what he's going to do and pass backwards in the end. So for me, I love the intensity after the second goal, but I just wish we had that throughout the whole game, and we don't.
Yeah, I mean, look, Thiago, I'll make you right, you know, because, you know, previously with Dilly Dally, with you know, we'd keep hold of the ball after we've gone up and then allow the opposition to get back into the game and then concede a goal to either draw the game or lose the game. But today we didn't really do that. Today we showed good intensity. We showed purpose. We wanted to go and attack and get that third goal to kill the game off. And that was probably one of the positives that I can take from the game. Obviously, I only watched from early second half, but this is what we need to be doing. When we're in a 2-1 situation or the game's on a knife edge, just be brave and try and get the game done. But it sounds like to me, again, it's just same old story in the first half. And it's a trend, it's a trend. Every single game almost this season has been going behind and a comeback story or trying to get back into the game. But we've got Aston Villa next away. How are we going to operate against Aston Villa next week? Because, I'm watching them against Luton. Ollie Watkins has 2 goals, very clinical. And for one of the goals, he just got in behind the defence, through ball through the middle. Is he going to get those sorts of chances next week against Spurs? I mean, coming up against Van der Ven, Romero, we all know Van der Ven's got bags of pace. Dan, you think it's going to be a hard day at the office next week?
Very much so. I think anything's a hard day at the office at the moment. That's now 1 in 18 games that we've kept a clean sheet. 1 in 18. And there's good defenders we got there. But if you're going to press as high as we do, you're going to concede every game without fail. I suppose today, in a way, you could even say we got lucky. Because that first goal, it was brilliant by Johnson, the way he actually used a bit of muscle and got it in there, but it was poor defending. The second goal, again, well done Romero getting up there, good ball in by Madsen, but poor defending. Defender should have had that out. Really, we only got back into that game because Palace let us in the game. I don't see that happening with Villa. And every game I see us play at the moment, we're going to concede goals. And if we keep playing the way we're playing, we have not got the capability to keep playing. You score 2, we score 3. I think Villa is going to be a very hard game because they like to get physical as well. They've also got a bit of pace on them, a bit of skill on them. Their finishing is good. I think that's going to be a very hard game. And at the moment, we are so predictable on what we're going to do. Sit back and wait. They will make a mistake. They will make a lazy pass across our goal and we'll just take it and snap it up. It's literally what everybody keeps doing, the same thing.
Yeah.
We don't seem to be doing nothing to change it. So is someone just being stubborn in his ways and this is the only way we're going to play? Or have we got to make a little change, a slight little change for a game that someone's not expecting? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, look, Thiago, I'll come to you. I mean, next week's not going to be an easy game. Villa's keeping the pace in the Premier League. They're in all honesty, they're probably going to be above us come next week. If they beat Luton tonight, should they win. Do you think we need to start the game 1-0 down next week to get a reaction from the players? Or but what do you think?
We do. I actually think we do because even when we're not losing, but I don't know what it is with our players that they just don't seem to care about the first half. Sometimes we are like 0-0 and we come out in the second half and it looks like we just started the game. They don't seem a little bit tired or anything. They just come out full throttle. But yeah, next week, I'm really worried. Is Aston Villa away? They have, as I said, they're not going to have much of a chance in terms of spaces because we are a better team than Luton and we have Van der Ven, who's really fast, but they have Bailey, they have Watkins, who has been in great form since last season. I don't know if Moussa Diaby will be available, but that guy is extremely fast as well.
Leon Bailey.
Exactly. So it's tough. And if we play with Emerson as right back, that is a problem. Dogi sometimes is a huge liability. I can't remember which game it was, but I don't know if you guys will remember the team we were playing against. He just tried to pass the ball backwards and he just gave it away. He passed straight to the opponent. I think it was Villa, wasn't it? At home.
Yeah, I think Ellie Ellie mentions it here. You know, we were actually fantastic for the first 35 minutes. We all know what happened to Bentancur when Matty Cash went into him. Something which is going to be interesting for next week, because a certain individual might want to, carry out some revenge. But we all hope it doesn't happen. But, it's going to be difficult, Thiago. It's going to be very difficult. You know, Aston Villa now chasing that top 4 spot, and they're going to want to get into the Champions League after, being in the Europa League this season, and consolidate on their position from last season. So it's not easy. I mean, where do we go from here in terms of fixing things? Because it's one thing trying to break down a low block, but it's another thing playing against the likes of a team with so much pace and skill, and teams that can sort of get in behind against their high line. Do we need a plan B, Dan? Do we need do we need to change tactics in game against the likes of Villa?
Definitely. I mean, this is what I've been saying for a while now. Maybe it's me being devil's advocate here, but I have to laugh at a few things that I do here when I hear a lot of people keep going, no, this is the Ange way, this is Ange football, this is how we do it. Okay, fine. Conte did exactly the same thing last season, and everybody grilled him because he didn't have a plan B and he was only willing to play his way. Hang on a minute. What's the difference between Conte and Ange then? Yeah, the difference is that Ange ball looks better. It's better to watch because he's going forward. But I'm not seeing the man with a plan B. I'm not seeing him make any changes of his style of play, really, apart from maybe in the last 5 minutes where he might bring it to 5 at the back. If we don't get a plan B out, every good team has a plan B. At least the best teams have a B and C for the game. We don't. In some aspects, we're in the same thing we were last season. One style of play. This is how we play. This is how we're going to do it. If it works, great. If it don't worry. It might work next time. That's how I'm looking at it at the moment. I'm not seeing him making any changes to the style of play that we're doing. And I'm starting to get worried with that, if I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, I do get that. In one sense, it's almost like with, last season it was just first gear, and this season it's just fifth gear. But we don't know how to bring it down a notch or two. But in my opinion, Thiago, and what Danny's saying, we need to have a plan B or maybe even a plan C. But would you say the lack of depth in our squad means that we don't have a plan B or C? Do we sort of need players in our squad for us to be able to, or different players in our squad for us to be able to implement a different tactic in game? What's your take on it? Because this season has very much been one direction. I think I've only ever seen him switch it up maybe twice this season. I can't remember which teams it was against, but every other big team has has different tactics in game. Why is it, do you reckon, that we don't?
First, I just want to say to kind of bring some numbers to what Dan said. The commentator here in the Brazilian broadcast said today that at the start of the game we were just 2 points better than Conte last season.
Mm-hmm.
So is it really that much of a difference? Is it really that much better? Because we're not in the top 4. Right now, England is not getting that 5th Champions League spot. So today we would not be going to the Champions League either.
Mm-hmm.
We don't control games. We still have those games in which we should be winning, but we're losing. So is it really much better? And I think Dan hit the perfect spot here. It's just because it looks better, but it's the same thing as Conte. And Spurs fans, we all know how it goes. Unfortunately, they're not always the easiest people to deal with. But in terms of game plan, what you asked me, Cass, I think it's a yes and a no. We do not have the best players on the bench. For example, for me, one of the most predictable players we have is Kulusevski. Does bringing on Brennan Johnson change much? Will he completely put us on another level? No, I don't think so. Uh, let's change it up with the players. Let's put Giovanni Lo Celso, who's going to play 30 minutes and then not going to play for the next 3 months because of a knock that suddenly becomes the biggest injury in world football. So I do think it has to do with players, but I also think it comes down a lot to the manager, because our players may not be the best, but they do have different characteristics from one another. But every player he puts the different players to do the same thing over and over again, and that's down to him. He could just go, okay, I'm gonna put Bentancur, but I'm gonna let Bentancur do what he does best. I'm not trying to make him play like Sarr or Absuma, because he's not that player.
Mm-hmm.
But no, he puts different players with different characteristics on the same place and forces them to do the same thing. So he can change the game plan. Will it work out? We don't know. I do question the quality of our players, but he can try something different. And that's why for me it's a yes and a no. We do have different players, but he is also at the same time not choosing to change.
So, you know, in a nutshell, what you're saying is he's expecting the same results with the same team and the same tactics, week in, week out, you know, and we just know that that's not going to be the case, because every team plays differently, you know, barring maybe a couple like Manchester City, who, you know, Liverpool maybe. But yeah, I am of the opinion as well that something needs to change in game at times.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we'll give him another transfer window to see what he brings in, what he wants to do. But
and just a quick point. You were saying that he changed up tactics in a few games. You just mentioned that sometimes we play differently when we go up against Man City. He went with the formation he usually does. We started the game first half. We struggled a little bit. We come out of halftime. He makes changes. He makes our team stronger, and our midfield wasn't as flexible as it was before. Bissouma is not playing as a lone six. He puts Højbjerg alongside him, and it changes the game. He puts Lo Celso a little bit more forward. We start to create chances. We dominate the game. We equalize. We make it 2-2. Then we make it 3-3. So that's the thing. He has the players with different characteristics, and he can use it. But it's like, oh, we're going to play Sarr, so Sarr is going to do ABC. Bentancur doesn't know, is not the best at doing ABC, but he's going to play there, so he has to do ABC. Højbjerg is good at XYZ, but no, he's going to play there, so he has to do ABC. He just doesn't want to change. And that's hurting us, because in my opinion, he was definitely found out, because every team knows how to stop us. Every team knows how to make us suffer. It doesn't matter if first place, 20th place, championship team from Italy, Brazil, South Korea, everybody knows how to stop us, because it's always the same thing.
You know what? There's only one team that I've spotted since those first, let's say, between 8 and 12 games that have actually played totally different to how pretty much every other team is against us. And that was Man City. They totally changed their style of play in the cup, 100%, well, 90% to what they usually do. They changed it basically to exactly how we play on our stadium and schooled us. And how they didn't beat us 5-0, I will never know. Every other team has literally done the same thing, and that's just wait. They very rarely take a long ball. They very rarely take a chance. They just keep tip-tap, like we want to walk it into the net. And then all of a sudden, there'll be a loose ball go across. Someone gets it, bang, 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 down the wing, in the middle, in the goal. And that's
I think what Manchester City did, they didn't allow our wing backs to invert in that game.
They played us at our game, our style.
So ultimately, with the wing backs unable to sort of invert, it meant that they won that battle in midfield.
Mm.
It was really clever from Pep, if you ask me. Very, it was very clever on the day. But yeah, I mean, look, you could also say it's a learning curve for like, for Ange in his first season in the Premier League as well. Playing against teams like Manchester City, playing against teams like Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, whoever it is, and that he'll be a better coach for it next season. Maybe that's what we're all hoping for. But from what he's showed us this season, very much so, it says, and from his quotes as well, after that Chelsea game, this is the way we play, no matter what. Even if we have 9 men, 11 men, whatever it is, we're always going to play this type of football. So that's what we're expecting at the moment. So,
sorry, when your team has got 1 clean sheet in 18 games, and your manager can't work out that something's got to possibly change, I must admit, I'm starting to have questions. I know it's his first season. Okay, fine. First season, he's got to try this, he's got to try that. We're more than halfway through the season, and like I said, 1 clean sheet in 18 games, and he's still not changed the style of defence or play slightly.
Arguably, we have the best centre-back pairing we can have at the moment in Van der Ven and Romero as well. And for me, that's the worrying part.
Mm-hmm.
Is that we have pretty much our starting, back four, and we're still conceding every game at an alarming rate. We're not always going to come back against teams. We're not always going to come back against, let's say if Villa score against us next week, are we guaranteed to come back? I don't know. If Arsenal take the lead against us when we play them, are we going to come back? I don't know. These teams are strong. They'll put you to the sword. They'll go for the throat. We'll look at Aston Villa now. 2-0, getting the job done in the first half, and still going for more. But guys, before we do wrap it up for today, who's your man of the match from the game today, and why? Anyone can go first.
Go on, Thiago. Your one.
I have to think a little bit.
Do you want to go after? Do you want to go after Dan?
Go on then.
Yeah, you guys can go first. I need to think.
Well, we'll give Thiago a bit of time to think. Dan, who was your man of the match today, and why?
For me, it was 1 or 2. I thought Basuma had a really good game for the sheer fact he did what he was told to do, and that's be a ball winner and just get the ball off to the side to the next person to do the job. He wasn't meant to do box to box today, pressing and all that. He was basically played as the 6, the way I saw it, the defensive midfielder, ball winner, whatever you want to call him. I thought he had a very good game. But if I'm going to give man of the match to someone, I'd say it's got to be Van der Ven. Again, everywhere you needed him to be. Without his pace, we could have been opened up a few times. He's got the bottle to go for a tackle. He's got a good tackle. He can mark. He's just an all-round very good defender. The only thing the man can't do is head the ball, and he's what, 6'3", 6'4", and that's the only thing he can't actually do. But I'd say he had the most consistent, solid game out of everyone.
Yeah, I mean, from what I saw in the second half, there were really good tackles in there. His strength to keep other players off the ball, racing back. His pace is just phenomenal, and just suits the way we want to play. But obviously, I can't really, counter your man of the match because I didn't watch the whole game. But good shout, Dan. Thank you very much. Thiago, who was your man of the match? Are you going to go with Van der Ven as well, or are you going to go a bit left field with someone else?
I'm going to stay in the same position, but I'm going to go with the other centre back, just to say someone different to Dan. Romero scored a goal. I know that a lot goes down to James Madison. It was a beautiful pass over the top. People say, "Oh, that's easy." It's not that easy. It's really easy for you to overhit the ball and it just goes to completely the other side. That's what would happen to me as that's how we say in Brazil, a crack in football. That's what I would do. It's just pure quality. But yeah, I think Romero was good. The goal beautiful free kick from Eze. Can you really blame the centre backs for that? I don't think so. Um, but I agree with Dan. Van de Ven was really good. But I'm gonna go with Romero just because he scored a goal. So, which is new. Me praising Argentinian players.
I was just going to say that. I was just going to say that, Thiago. It's a bit of a strange one with Thiago obviously being Brazilian, but giving the man of the match to Argentine defender Romero.
It's just that I'm going to Argentina in a few weeks, so I need footage of me saying good things of Argentina, so they don't kick me out of the country.
Oh, right. Okay. So there's a reason behind it. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to eat a lot of Argentinian barbecue, so I need to.
Yeah,
go
legendary.
Yeah,
I do need to visit Argentina. It's a part of the world I need to visit soon. For if anything, I do love a good steak. So if anything, just for that. So we've got Van de Ven and Romero, both centre backs, as man of the match. We'll see who else, what else everyone else has. Chat is going with. Let's have a look. Ellie is saying, I give the man of the match to VDV, and Udogi was great at progressing the ball. But I'm assuming she's going with Van de Ven as well. I'll have to watch the match back tonight, hopefully from the start. But yeah, Van de Ven, what a signing he has been for us as well this season. So there you have it. Van de Ven, man of the match for you. And Romero, man of the match for Thiago. Guys, it's the most difficult part of the reaction show or any show that I do is predictions for next week, because it's always difficult with Spurs. Thiago's bowing his head because he's like, I don't really want to give a prediction. And again, Thiago, I'm going to give you a bit of time to think about this, because I'm quite positive that Dan already in his mind. Go on, Thiago.
I have it.
You have it. You have it. Dan, are we all right to go with Thiago first?
Go for it, mate.
Stage is yours, Thiago.
1-0. 1-0 Tottenham. Who's going to score the goal? Papesar. I don't know. I like it. I really enjoy him, watching him play. I think this season has been, for me, honestly, he's the biggest surprise of the season. I did not expect him to play as well as he is. I think after today's match, Bentancur is going to go back to the bench, and Papesar is going to score the winner for us. As I said, it's going to be a tough game, so I don't think it's going to be like a 3-1, 2-0 win for Tottenham. So the crazy part of my prediction is a clean sheet, which is something we haven't been getting lately. So 1-0, Papesar scoring the goal. I would have said Richarlison is injured, so.
Wow. So we're going with 1-0 win to Tottenham Hotspur next week against Villa, a clean sheet, and Papesar to score. So, guys and girls, whoever's watching, anyone in the chat, or anyone who might watch this after the show's finished recording, if you do want to have a little gamble, if you do want to put a little cheeky £5 bet on, perhaps go with what Thiago just said. Make yourself a few bob. 1-0 to Tottenham Hotspur away at Aston Villa, and Sarr to score. We'll have to look at the odds for that one. And whilst I'm talking to Dan, I might just do that and give you some odds for that one. But interesting. Thank you, Thiago. That is actually very optimistic, very precise in your prediction as well, I must say. But Dan, are you going with a Tottenham win? If so, are you going to be really sure of yourself like Thiago and give us a score and scorer?
No, I'm going to go with realism on this one. And I must admit, my hopes ain't high at the moment, because I think our play at the moment, like I say, people know how we play. And again, when you go against someone like Villa with the pace they got, good finishing, good defending, good all round. If we go and play like we have in the style we have been playing for the past 20 games, if we go and play like we did today, with the pace and the wingers with the wing backs being too inverted and that, the pace they got on the wings, the pace they got down the middle, strength they've also got at the back, we can easily lose that 3 or 4-1. Easily. But then on another day, Spurs can turn up and do something. That is why we're still such an unpredictable team in that aspect. But overall, we are way too predictable. Villa are tenfold faster than Palace. Palace could have had some serious good chances today if they would have had some pace down the wings. That was why they got nothing there. Villa do. And their pace is just as much, if not better, than ours down the wings. And if we press that far forward and they get a couple of good balls over, with Watkins the way he's been playing as well, especially being away, if we're not careful, we get destroyed in that game.
So it brings us on to your prediction then, please.
Well, we always score, but we always concede. I'm going to say 3-1 Villa if I have to put a bet on it.
So 3-1 to Villa. Villa obviously playing at home. Dan's gone with a bit more of a realistic sort of approach to the prediction. Okay, so we've got 1-0 for Thiago to Spurs, 3-1 to Aston Villa for Dan. Let's see what the chat is saying. No one. Anyone in the chat wants to give us a prediction? Let us know. I mean, look, Dan, if we lose against Aston Villa, would you say that's top 4 done? Do we still sort of harbour hopes of qualifying in top 4, or would you say we still have a slight, chance in qualifying?
I mean, at points we've looked like where we could be a top 4 team and go for it, and then at other stages we've looked like we're not even good enough to be a top 10 team. But even if we lose against Villa, I don't think that's 4 completely out of the way, because I still think anyone from 3rd place down is still going to have some shady games out of nowhere. That's what's been good about this season. But I don't think 4th place is our point to get anyway. I think we're going to finish 5th or 6th anyway. But even if we do lose the game, it doesn't make it impossible. It only means Villa need to lose 2, we win 2, and we're right back on them again. But I don't see us getting 4th place anyway.
Don't see us getting 4th place. Top 6, would you say?
Top 6 I could go for. 5th or 6th. If we get a bit of consistency, who knows? But the only thing we've been consistent in is the way we've played, and that everybody sussed it out.
Yeah, we have, especially a couple of weeks ago from the corners, team sussed out that Van der Ven wasn't really effective at catching crosses from corners, and back to back we conceded from corners. I do understand that. Thiago, just before we wrap up, do you think next week if we lose, that's it for our top 4 hopes, would you say?
No, because we are a game in hand on Villa. So if we lose that game, maybe if we win our game in hand, which is going to be a difficult game because we know we always struggle away at Chelsea, even if they're playing like terrible.
Yeah.
We're going to be, I think, 5 points behind. I think it is. So it's not completely out of the way. But I'd like us to finish at least 5th, just because I don't think United has been that good of a team, and if we finish behind them, it's going to be quite frustrating for me, with them having all those problems, all those shit games, and still finishing ahead of us. But if we finish 5th, I'll be quite happy. I was predicting us to finish 9th at the beginning of the season. So top 5 is pretty good.
Yeah, top 5 gets us into Europa League at least. Maybe, as you said earlier on, perhaps not enough to get us into the Champions League, but I think we're not. Personally speaking, I don't think we're quite there yet for the Champions League. Europa would probably suit us better in terms of level of opposition, because Ange for me is still on a rebuild with this team, and we can't expect. Let's be honest. If we got in Champions League, what is our expectations going to be? That's the question you need to ask. Realistically, we're not going to win the Champions League. But with the Europa League or even the Conference League, you've always got a chance in that competition, as we saw with West Ham and other teams. But guys, look, it's been yeah, go on.
No, I just wanted to ask a quick question because I didn't know it was going to happen this week, and I don't know if it changes you guys' perspective on our game next week. But Villa are going to play on Thursday.
Yes, against Ajax.
Conference League away. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yes. You think it's going to have a bearing on the game, or?
I think it could help us. Will it help us? I don't know, because Ajax have been quite sluggish this season. I think they're far away from.
I think they're 5th or 6th.
from the league.
They've had a proper bad season by their standards.
Yeah,
they
they're
were
fifth place.
relegation fodder at one point.
Yeah, that's probably the worst they've been in 20 odd years.
Jesus, they're 30 points behind first place.
Yeah, they're not doing anything this season, so
Yeah.
they're going to go all out. Sorry,
it's not going to change anything.
Oh no,
Villa are more than capable of winning and playing perfectly against us.
Absolutely, but you know, look, whether it's going to have a bearing on you know the outcome or anything like that, we'll see. But yeah, Aston Villa is going to be a tough game for us next week. We'll see how it goes. But guys, thank you very much for being on the show with us today on the match reaction. Dan and Tiago, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show. And yeah, hopefully next week we grab a result. But we never know what kind of Tottenham's going to turn up every week, week in, week out. I just want to say thank you to everyone who's watched the show tonight, who's still watching the show, everyone in the chat. Shout out to Ellie, just a girl who loves Spurs. Daniel Sandoval, yeah, big up. I haven't seen you for a while. One love indeed. Thanks for joining us in the show. We've also had who else have we had on the show tonight? We've had Eugene as well. Lockman, thank you very much for participating in the chat. Scott M, as usual, thank you very much. I haven't seen you in the chat for a while as well, but then again, I haven't been on for a while. And Bobby K as well. Much love to you, brother. Thank you very much. And to everyone else that I might have forgotten, Tony Rodriguez, Stay Humble, 3SS, everyone that's tuning into the show, thank you very much. We'll be back for the next one against Aston Villa, match reaction. I believe my co-host Marlon is going to be hosting that one. You can catch us on Spurs Kings TV on Tuesday nights with Marlon's analysis and tactics, and then we are back for the rival show on Wednesday evening at 9:45. Tiago, just before we go, where can we catch you next?
This is my Twitter handle if anyone wants to follow. I'm not on channels as of now. Work has been crazy, life has been crazy, so I haven't had much time to be part of it. But yeah, I still complain about Tottenham on Twitter once in a while. And if you guys want to give a follow, that's my Twitter handle.
Thank you very much. So if you want to follow Tiago on Twitter, just follow the handle just above his head. You can follow him on Twitter and you won't miss any one of his rants about Tottenham Hotspur or any other club for a matter of fact. Thank you, Tiago. And Dan, Hotspur Hood.
That's it.
Always doing good things, mate. Where can we find you next? And yeah, tell us a bit about your channel.
Hopefully be on Tuesday night with a show I can finally do. I've wanted to do one for about a week and a half, 2 weeks, but like Tiago said, life has just been chaos is an understatement at the moment. And yeah, so hopefully where things are slowed down a bit now, I can do something on Tuesday. The most I've been able to do is pop on a show here or there. But hopefully Tuesday night, Hotspur Hood, we'll have something sorted out on there. Excellent. So make sure you tune in on Tuesday night, Hotspur Hood. You can find Dan there, and I'm sure he'll have a couple of amazing guests as well to come with him on the show. Yeah, Hotspur Hood, make sure you give them a follow. The handle is just above Dan's head right there. So thank you very much, guys. Thank you very much to everyone in the chat. We will see you on the next one. And as always, come on, you Spurs. Come on, you Spurs.